Hello, welcome or welcome back to Reading to Write. It's been a hot minute since I've been here. My life is about to go through a lot of major changes, so I've kind of had to shift to focusing on that, which means that unfortunately reading, writing, and YouTube video making has kind of fallen on the wayside. The major life changes include I'm moving to a new state, literally in a month, and I'm getting married towards the end of this year. So big things to plan for. I'm very excited about it, but it has kind of thrown my life into chaos and I just really couldn't focus on this channel at the time. However, before we leave, I do really want to do at least one, but hopefully a couple videos about my favorite bookstores in the area that I lived in, which you probably don't know because I never said it before, but I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, in particular in the South Bay. So I am going to hopefully showcase my favorite small independently owned bookstores in the area. So if you're ever visiting the Bay Area, you can go and check them out, please, because I absolutely love these bookstores and they deserve a lot of recognition and they deserve a lot of revenue. So if I'm ever like looking to buy a book, I always go to one of a few places before I'll ever check out like a Barnes & Noble or ordering it online or something like that. The first bookstore that I'm going to go to is actually my favorite in the area, and it is a secondhand bookstore. So we're also going to do a bit of a book unhaul before we go there because like I said, I'm moving in a month and books are very, very heavy. So I want to kind of like dwindle down our collection before we move because I don't want to like spend a zillion dollars on transporting books that I don't really want to keep. So we are going to be getting rid of 10 books today. The first one is Sorry Bro. I'm pretty upset about this one because I think I talked about it in a previous video. I was excited to read it. It sounded like an interesting love story between two women. I really liked that it spoke a lot about different Armenian foods and festivals and just different points of their culture. That part was really cool. I didn't super love the main character and the love interest was okay, but I didn't like get to know her well enough before I kind of lost interest in the story. So unfortunately I did not finish it, so I will be unhauling it. The next 3 books actually are in a set, so it's the P.S. I Love You series. I read these after the movies came out and I really, really loved them. I have been writing a young adult novel, so I wanted to read kind of a more modern one to kind of see how the story flow goes and, you know, if I was kind of on the mark with like the type of story that I was telling in my young adult. So I read these. I did really enjoy them. I actually think I liked the movies more for the first and third book in particular. I think the second novel is better than the second movie, but I kept it because I wanted to have some type of contemporary young adult novel on my bookshelf just to have as a reference. I have the Simon versus the Homo sapien, which is the Love Simon novel, which I think is good enough, and I'm probably never going to read these again, so I'm just going to unhaul them. The next 2 books are the only 2 Stephen King fiction novels that I've read, The Institute and The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I have an interesting relationship with Stephen King. The first book that I ever read by him was On Writing, which is his writing memoir, which I absolutely loved. I think that this is really well written. The stories that he tells about his own life are really captivating, and as a like aspiring author myself, like reading his kind of journey into getting published was really, really moving for me. So I really loved this and I was very excited to read his books, and then I read his books and I don't really love his writing style, which I think is hilarious. I think he's a good storyteller. Like, I love adaptations of his novels. Like Dr. Sleep is one of my favorite movies of all time. You know, as much as I hate clowns, I enjoyed the It movies. I thought that they were, you know, besides the weird ending, they were well done. Pet Sematary is a super interesting concept. So yeah, I like his stories, but I don't really like his writing style. I think in this one, I mean, I could go on about this book for a while and what I did and didn't like about it, but it kind of rambles on a lot and I think he tells too much. In this one in particular, I'm not gonna like say this for all of his works because again, I've only read 2 of his books and I didn't super love either of them. I kept this book because I wanted a novel to like tell me, do not do this in your own science fiction novel, which for being here, that was a fine reason to keep it on my bookshelf, but this is a thick book, so I do not want to transport it to another state when I could save that room for other stuff. And then The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, I kept this book even though I didn't like love it. I thought it was really interesting because you basically only follow one character through almost the entire book. There's not really a lot of interaction with like other people or, you know, even like other creatures really. It's just her like on this kind of being lost in the woods scary adventure, which I thought was impressive. Like, even though I didn't love the book, I thought it was like really cool that he was able to keep an engaging story with only one character in it. So I kept it for that reason, but I'm probably never going to pick it up again. So I'm just going to unhaul it. I do have one more Stephen King book on my shelf that I'm going to keep, which is The Gunslinger. That's in the Dark Tower series, which I've heard is really good, and I do still want to give him a chance. Like, I haven't completely written him off as an author since I do love his story adaptations a lot. So I'll take that one with me, and then we'll see how King does when I move to the next state and get back to reading him. The next book I'm going to unhaul is The Midnight Library. I actually really enjoyed this book. I think reflecting back on it, it wasn't as amazing as I initially thought it was, because I read it in like a day and I just really enjoyed it and I liked the message of it, even though it does get a little bit preachy sometimes. But I'm never going to read it again, and I do think that, like, now that I've read a lot more books, while the concept of this is really cool, and again, I do like the message, and I think that, you know, it can be a very helpful book to some people who are going through difficult times. It's not the most groundbreaking as far as like writing style goes or execution, so it's a hardcover. Hardcovers are heavy, so I'm just gonna unhaul it. The next book I'm gonna unhaul is We Have Always Lived in the Castle, which I'm really upset about because I really like this book, like the way it looks. Like, I love the cover. I love that it has like the serrated edges. I forget what those are called. But I really did not like this book. It's hard because like the main character is supposed to be unlikable. Like, everybody in this book is supposed to be unlikable because it's just a shitty town and they do shitty things to each other. But I just didn't, I don't know. I didn't like it. It does its job well in that, like, it's supposed to be a disturbing read, and it definitely disturbs you. So it like is well done looking at it from that lens, but I don't know. I don't like it. I'm never going to read it again. And I have The Haunting of Hill House, which is one of the most gorgeous books that I own, and I liked it a lot more than this one, so I don't need this particular book on my bookshelf. The next book I'm going to unhaul is Crazy Rich Asians. I loved the movie for this book, so I read it and I hated it. The good characters are like much more watered down in this and not as like good as they are in the movie, and the bad characters are much worse, which makes sense because it's supposed to be a satire of like high rich society. But as we just learned with We Have Always Lived in the Castle, I don't super do well when there are literally no likable characters. I just don't like reading stories about people who are shitty, because there are enough people like that in real life that I don't need to deal with it in my fiction. So the only reason that I kept this book was because I really loved, they have like a glossary in the footnotes, like here, which I thought was such a cool writing technique that I kept it on the bookshelf for that. But I have a copy of Dracula now that does the same thing, so I don't need this book anymore, so off it goes. And then the last book I'm going to unhaul is It Happened One Summer. I really liked this book. I think that the story was cute, the characters were interesting, the writing is pretty good, especially the spicy scenes. I've actually never read a spicy scene as explicit as I have in this book. However, I liked the second one of this series more. I think it's called Hook, Line, and Sinker, which is up on the top shelf of my bookshelf. I thought that the relationship in that one was a little bit more balanced. In this one, the guy, I forget his name now, it's been a while since I read this book, but it kind of felt like Piper was sacrificing more for the relationship than her dude was, which I didn't love because it did feel like the relationship was unbalanced because of that. So I preferred the second couple, so I'm going to keep that one and unhaul this one. So that's the 10 books that I'm going to unhaul today. The way this bookstore works, it's called the Recycle Bookstore. It is a secondhand bookstore, and you can take in books that you want to get rid of and trade it in for either a small number of cash per book or for a higher number of credit that you can use to exchange for other used books in the store, which I just absolutely love that concept. They don't accept like all books, so we'll see how many of these they'll actually take today. I'm gonna try really hard to not to pick up any or limit the number of used books that I pick up today, because the whole point is to get rid of books before the move and not like replenish the stack that I have. So yeah, we're gonna try to not get any. I will still look around just to see if there's like a book that I really want, or like a really cool edition that I could get for a lower price, but we're gonna try really hard to not do that. Oh, I have to show you. Okay, I got this super cool tote bag from the Recycle Bookstore the last time I was there. Isn't it so cute? It's Jack from Nightmare Before Christmas, and he has a book. It's the scientific method book that he uses in the movie, and it says, "What's this?" And I absolutely love it. It's super, super cute, and I'm going to use it as my tote bag to bring my 10 books to the Recycle Bookstore, and we'll see what happens. Witch books. It's literally just shelves and shelves of books everywhere. This is the young adult section. I'm talking quietly so I don't disturb other people who are doing stuff. Some have a little used sticker, others that have the new orange sticker. Spooky Central. They used to have, instead of the book talk made me buy it right here, they had a banned book section that I really liked. We have all of our mangas. King. This is actually where I've bought all of my King books so far. Except for this one. I think I got it at the next store I'm going to show you. God, this store has so many books. Absolutely love it. Like things you would never find. Right? I mean, I don't know if you would never find this in another place, but still. If you find like a really old and beat up one, so you can get it for like $3.99. I've seen ones as low as like $1.99. It's super cool. So they have like popular ones, but then also like things I've never heard of before. I absolutely love this place. Like, I could spend hours in here. Ooh. When the Moon Hatched. Oh my god, this is so chunky. I cannot buy this right now. Maybe another day though. Oh, that's super cool. This also looks really cool. Half Sick of Shadows. I can't flip it over all the way. Might have to revisit. It's heavy. It's in Campbell, so that's why that's there. And more fun tote bags. Alright, so I got 21 in cash or 33 in trade. So let's see what we can find. I was very well behaved and went with the cash instead of getting a book, which is a little sad. I might try to come back to unhaul a couple more books before the move. We'll see if I can make one last purchase from my favorite bookstore, but for now, I've behaved. They also did not take Crazy Rich Asians, so I will probably unload this in a different method in my next video, so stay tuned. See you next time.